Round one. It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
The Truth Network.
Right now. Ooh. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
All right, now listen up.
Exclusively on The Truth Network, 99.3 The Truth FM.
3:06, 6 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 9th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, back on Monday, got all my energy back. I'm excited. We've got a great show today. And just as I'm about to turn on the microphone, Chris Roloff says to me, you know, you've called this radio station, every other old radio station you've ever been on. There has at least been one time where you've screwed up and you've called it this or this or this. And I have not called it everything that I was ever on.
That's true, I would assume.
There are radio stations that I was on that I have not accidentally mentioned. You have to admit.
You've never called it the Coil?
The Coil?
The Coil.
The Coil. This is the guy that looks up the Google. I'm the only guy in the world gets to work with a man who is an admitted bigot and racist, and he likes it. How about that?
That is not me, Chris Roloff.
So anyway, all of us here on 1290 Coil really are happy that you're here today. But sometimes
it's impressive. You've been on a lot of sticks, man.
Sometimes it is weird though because it almost falls out of my mouth. Something else will fall out of my mouth. 98.3, 99.3.
Oh yeah.
Those are very close. I haven't called you Hatfield yet though.
This is true.
Yeah.
I don't have a country accent though, I guess. I don't know what he sounded like, what he sounds like or sounded like.
We didn't do accents.
Oh.
We were just regular white people from Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Hatfield.
All right. So we've got a great show today. Can we get on to my show rather than my past?
I would love it.
Would you like to speak to my ex-wife too?
No, thank you.
I can get her on the phone.
That would be fine. We would not need to go that way.
You want to hear something freaky?
Sure.
So my son went over to Lincoln to see his mother.
That's Nebraska.
My ex-wife.
Yep.
Yeah. Guess where she wanted to go for lunch?
A place you own.
Tasty Tacos.
Close. Tico's. Which is where his mother and I had our first date almost 40 years ago.
Is that right?
And then she sat there the whole lunch and talked about us.
Really?
Yeah.
How did he like? What did he think of that?
Oh, he's a good son. She's a good lady. That was 40 years ago, Chris.
But was it good stuff?
I wasn't even legal to. I was barely 18 when we got married. I just wanted to get married, so I just found the first woman that would probably say yes. Although she had a heart for Jesus, which I didn't at the time, and she's still today at age 60, whatever she is. She's a strikingly beautiful woman. Yeah.
Was it good stuff or bad stuff?
No, it's good stuff.
No.
It was good stuff. See, Frank, unlike you, I get along with my ex.
Was this the first one or the second one?
The first one.
This was the first one he met with?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, we have an interesting show today, and I want you to, you might want to tweet or Facebook this out or however you put it out. You guys know I'm in recovery. In fact, tomorrow will be 2,193 days. And do you know what that represents, Christopher? 2,193 days.
This number does not seem like anything to me, no.
Do you have your calculator on you?
2,193. Sure. No, I don't actually, believe it or not. Sorry. I left it
All
in
right,
the
so
office.
for those of you that are in the recovery world or you just pay attention to what's going on in the news, there's been a gentleman in our community for many, many years by the name of Stephen Lubke. Many years ago, Steve was a salesman and then the sales manager at Stivers when they were over on Merle Hay. Then he went over to Toyota of Des Moines and made a name for himself, and then got into some trouble with alcohol, got served his first OWI, and it was overlooked by his employer. He then got served his second OWI, which also involved during business. Well, I don't know what it involved. We'll ask him about that. Eventually, he lost his job. He had to go away for a while. He came back, got back at a dealership, a highly respected dealership here in the community. Decided one Saturday afternoon, it was his day off, and he'd get drunk and take some pills and I think at the time it was a 2013. It was the first year those beautiful red Camaros came out, and they were like a 396 something in. I mean, they were just a machine. And as some people might recall, it blew up into flames at 2nd Avenue and 235 in the middle of a Saturday afternoon.
Wow.
Then he somehow got a ride home, got another car, began driving it around, and was eventually busted for OWI, driving in that accident, et cetera, et cetera. It was his 4th, and he went away to prison for a few years. Steve's now been back about 3 weeks, and I asked him to be on the show today and to tell his story. So that's going to be in the second hour today. So I look forward to having Steve on, and if he's listening, that's fine. I'll just directly speak to him. Steve, I want to see if you've come to terms, if you've surrendered your alcoholism to Jesus. I mean, that's what I want to ask, and I don't want to be judgmental, but I want to see it. Because I stuck by him the last time, and it didn't work out. He doesn't owe me anything for that. He didn't ask me to stick by him. I just chose to stick by him. That's what Jesus tells me to do. So it could be a really cool interview, or it could kind of be embarrassing for us both, and maybe it'll end early. We'll see. So that's the second hour. In the first hour, I've got a couple news stories I want to read for you. And then I've been holding on to this one since like Friday. I want to talk about something that I'll guarantee you, everybody should be talking about it in Des Moines. Everybody in the state of Iowa should be talking about this story, but nobody's talking about it except the Des Moines Register. And that's typical because they're left-leaning, and it's typical they would take this slant. But it's about a pork producer, family-owned Prestige Farms, and a plant they wanted to put in Mason City, and why the Register says it failed. I told you how many jobs at lunch?
Close to 3,000, I believe.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about that. Meanwhile, what is the deal? Frank, why are your friends continuing to rob get-and-goes and credit unions?
I don't know. I told them I wouldn't do that if I were them.
So here's the deal. Here, I got a Bible here. Bob, put your hand on this Bible with me. Put your hand on that Bible. Frank, it wouldn't make any difference to you. Swear on a Bible that we do not have a caller ID system here.
Right, we do not have a caller ID system.
We do not.
We do not. We have no way of doing that. Jeb, right? You're the guy that's running the controls in there. You're a
no
good
caller
Catholic boy.
ID.
You wouldn't lie. If you're one of the people involved in all these robberies,
Please call up.
absolutely. Don't you remember the old days when I would have people who committed crimes call in on the radio, and the police would give me hell because I wouldn't turn over the information? I said, "What do you want me to give you?" We didn't even have caller ID back then. Yeah, if you're involved in these, I'd like to hear from you. You don't have to. You obviously don't use your real name. Use a different voice. I don't care what you do. I'm not looking to expose you. I just want to understand. I mean, this is the second time this credit union has been robbed in the last month. Plus, we have get-and-goes being robbed 6-7 times. There isn't a weekend that goes by that we don't have 1 or 2 robberies in Des Moines. Now, you're from Texas, and so you're used to this kind of stuff going on all the way.
Sure, I lived in a metro area of 6 million people, so.
We don't have this stuff. I mean, I can remember when we've had our second homicide, and it's May, right? So we've had we've had 20 weeks go by already this year, and we've had 2 homicides in Des Moines. The robbing, especially with guns and knives, of get-and-goes and credit unions is kind of new. I mean, not that we've never had bank robberies before, but this is constant.
Mac, I just had a question. How long has your relative been staying with you is it just the weekend?
I can't believe you brought him up. Why'd you bring him up? Yes, my great uncle Guido got a hold of Facebook. This would be the grandmother I don't like. Well, she's dead now, but I didn't like her when she was alive. This would be her brother. So my great uncle.
Well, I was just wondering about any kind of connection. I mean, you're wondering.
Oh, that's why you're bringing it up. Okay.
Because he didn't want to be on camera. Wouldn't come into the studio. Stayed in the producer's place.
Yeah, he got a hold of me on Facebook, and then he dropped in. I knew he was coming, but I knew he was coming like a day before. He called me from Illinois. And he had left Vegas. He had gone back to New Jersey and then driven this way. Gave me less than 24 hours notice that he wanted to stop by for dinner. And then in the middle, he says, hey, I got nothing going on for the weekend, Miss Mack. If you're leaving town for a while, can I stay here and keep Mack and the dogs company? And, of course, Mrs. Mack, who is her own boss, said, oh, that'd be wonderful. So all weekend I had him.
He sounded like a delight.
I took him to church and started to introduce him to people. So what did he do? Why'd you bring this up, Bob? Guido, if you're listening, I love you, brother. I do love you. But anyway, he asked if he could see my name tag. I took off my name tag and gave it to him. He put it on and walked around church introducing himself as Mac McCoy.
So if you visited Lutheran Church of Hope over the weekend and met a very interesting gentleman named Mac McCoy, it may not have been the real deal there.
Who doesn't look anything like him. So anyway, and Guido is welcome to. Yes, he's still here. He's welcome.
What?
Yeah. CJ's birthday's this Saturday, so he wanted to
stick around,
hang around for the birthday.
Sure.
So anyway,
so Bob's trying to pin him on the crime, though, is what it's.
Yeah, no, that's not it. That's not it. He Uncle Guido has quite a rap sheet, but it's from many years ago. He spent time in prison like Frank did, San Quentin. All right, we're coming back.
Did you see Johnny Cash in there?
I want to talk about this article that the Register put out about the pork plant in Mason City. You'll be surprised. Listen, thanks.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
(3:21 in the afternoon. Steve Lubke later on, and this hour, I'm just once again, I'm just going to show you how I believe the left-wing media creates racism and bigotry, and they're not bigots and racists. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that. I'm saying that their business as a news organization likes to point out racism and bigotry. Why? Because they're for it? No. Because they endorse it? Heavens, no.
They're trying to stoke the fires?
They're just selling newspapers. You know, selling newspapers. No different than what anybody does in the media. They're just trying to sell newspapers.
Hey, Mac, I got someone on the line for you. And I don't want to get in the middle of this, but I don't get paid enough to do this. So I'm just going to throw them on, and we'll see how it goes.
You didn't put who it was on the thing.
He wants to remain anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous caller.
I don't. All right, you're live in Max World. Who's this?
Hello, you don't let me talk. Sitting there talking the whole
time. Man.
Didn't even talk about racists. I don't even know. What are you talking about? Look,
I'm sorry, Uncle Guido, that Bob brought you up. Bob apologized to him.
I don't do that kind of stuff no more. I never did that kind of stuff.
Well, I wasn't sure. That's why I was questioning Mac.
Well, Guido, you just said you didn't do that stuff anymore, and then you never did it.
I never did any of that stuff. Never did any of that stuff.
Do you have any idea who done it, though?
I stood around for your beautiful wife. She had a birthday. I stood around. Now you treat me like this. This is what you do to me.
Guido, Bob was making a joke, and I should have just ignored it. It's one of those things that we shouldn't have gone down a rabbit trail. I'm sorry, Uncle Guido. We had a great weekend, didn't we?
It was nice. I love your house.
And you walked around my church and introduced yourself to everybody as me. Why did you do that?
That was almost funny.
First of all, you look more like the Beast from Meet the Hendersons. You know, what was his name? Harry. You look more like Harry, and I look more like Santa Claus.
Oh, that was the most funny thing.
Well, you know, you went up to my senior pastor and introduced yourself as Mac McCoy, and then he walks over to me and said, "Did that guy take your lanyard here? What's going on?" And I said,
most "Sweet man."
He's what?
He was the most sweet man I ever had.
I know you.
So nice to me. It's so nice to me.
Well, and can I tell folks you teared up a little bit during the Mother's Day sermon because you were thinking about your mom, which would have been my aunt.
I can't even. God bless him. God bless him.
All right, so you are sticking around this week for CJ's birthday on Thursday or Saturday, right?
Absolutely, gonna stick around.
Are you gonna maybe clean the house?
Well, somebody needs to. Somebody needs to clean the house.
Well, can you clean it since you're staying there?
No, this is how you treat your guests. You treat your guests. I come down here. This is how you treat me. Make me clean your house. It's filthy. Somebody need to do it. I gotta do it. I tell you though, you church people are funny. Oh, that was the best. Walk around. I said, "Hey,
all right,
Mac McCoy."
All right, Uncle Guido, I'm going to let you go. I need to do some work now. Are you okay if I hang up and we go on with the story?
Well, yeah.
Okay. I love you, Uncle Guido. Now take care of the puppies. I'll be home in a couple hours. And I don't want to hear about any cats missing in the neighborhood. I know you like Chinese food, but I don't want to hear about missing cats.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
All right. Thanks, Guido. All right. You know what I'm afraid? Here's what well, he's listening again. I should have said this on the air when he was on the phone. He's fairly computer savvy, so he's already figured out that he can watch this from home. and he writes down the phone number. He doesn't have he has a smartphone, but he doesn't have numbers in his phone. He still carries a little black book. He's got him in there.
They let them have that in the witness protection program?
Yes. Shh. Frank. You know, I can't say anything to you people off mic. Frank. All right. So, here's the story. Frank, now listen to this, because I've been thinking about you all weekend, because I want to hear, because you're one of the few guys that I can actually say is a bigot and a racist, and you'll thank me for saying that. So I want you to see if these guys are right or wrong. You're going to kind of be the well, and Chris, I want you to be, somewhat
not the racist and the bigot.
No,
right?
You're not that way. Just everybody be natural.
Okay.
So a top official with family-owned Prestige Farm says racism played a pivotal role in undermining plans to build a giant pork processing plant in Mason City. That would have delivered almost 2,000 jobs. Now, being a here is the quote that the Des Moines Register has somehow turned into its racism. So you be the judge. Quote unquote. Being a Southerner, I'm used to the fact, this is Ron Prestige, by the way, at Prestige Farms. Being a Southerner, I'm used to the fact that people think that racism resides in the South, he told Brownfield Ag News. Quote, it was very apparent among some that racism is alive and well in Mason City and northern Iowa as well. Now, do you believe... Well, he goes on to say, council member Janet Solberg, who voted in favor of the projects, said racism was a huge factor. There is no doubt in my mind, she says, most of my phone calls and emails where we don't want those people, quote unquote, those people in our community.
Now, those people is referring to Mexican immigrants?
Well, that's kind of what we got to get to.
Okay.
We don't want those people in our community, she said. It played a very large part in all of this. Sad to say, I'm so disappointed in our citizens. They were going to spend $15 million of the state's money and 11.2 of the city's money, and they were going to employ 2,000 jobs. 2,000 jobs means probably 8,000 people, because you assume dad comes, he's got a job, mom comes, she's got a job, there's a spouse, and there's a couple of kids. So this would have taken Mason City's population, added 8,000 or 9,000 to it right away.
Sure.
Been a boom for housing.
Absolutely.
Boom for apartment building. Boom for restaurants. Boom, 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 boom. But the city council person said there were people who no doubtedly did not want, quote unquote, those people. We don't want those people in our community.
Can I just point out the person I'd like to blame for this? I'd like to blame Donald J. Trump for this one.
What?
I knew that was coming.
You knew it was coming, didn't you, Frank?
I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. Is he not the arbiter of all things anti-Mexican these days? I mean, Donald Trump just any chance he can get, he'd like to throw Hispanics under the bus, except for on Cinco de Mayo when they make him a taco salad. He's all for that, and he loves Hispanics when they make him a taco salad.
Well, now see, you're being a low information radio host here, because Donald Trump has said more positive things. I can't believe I'm defending him, but it's the facts. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has said more positive things about the Latino community than he ever did negative. Okay? And everybody now seems to have an empty brain, an empty memory about the good things he said about Hispanics. He won the state of Nevada with the Latino vote.
Right.
He won Texas.
Right.
With the Latino vote.
Donald Trump
Cruz won Texas.
Okay, you're right.
Donald Trump may absolutely love Latinos, Latin Americans, Mexican Americans, Hispanics. He may love them, but there are a lot of people in the United States that do not. And those people have been given a voice were given a voice early on with Donald Trump's rhetoric. Now, that's why I'm saying I'm not calling Donald Trump a racist. I'm saying that
you kind of are.
No, I'm saying that he tapped into a group. He tapped into the heart of people who saw an opportunity to say, you know what? I can be proud of America, and they fed into that pro-America, pro-white sort of ideology, and have been able to be openly anti-Hispanic. And I think it's become more socially acceptable because of Donald Trump.
You think the people of Mason City get permission from Donald J. Trump to be racist?
I think they've been emboldened is the phrase that I would use.
Emboldened. All right.
Now, Army Brad disagrees with you.
Wait a minute,
Chris.
Army Brad.
He said no, he is opposed to illegal immigration.
Well, here's my first question.
Just out of curiosity, does anybody think there might be some illegal immigration moving to Mason City to work at that pork plant, possibly, if that were to happen? Anyway, I digress. Frank, go
why
ahead.
can't local residents from Mason City have the jobs? That would be my first question. Why is it immediately assumed that these type of jobs are going to be taken by immigrants?
That's a great question. You got to ask the people of Mason City because they apparently didn't want the jobs.
The second thing is anybody that is against open border policy and wants our borders monitored and who we allow in here is done in some orderly fashion, is anybody who's against open border policy automatically a racist by definition?
No. Let me try to shed some light on this, okay? First of all, if somebody wants to say this is about race, I guess you can. I guess people have set it up in Mason City. But can I get the other headline, please? This is also about culture. If I were up in if I was in Mason City, I'd want this up there. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. Jobs. 2,000 jobs. Somebody get out a calculator. Take 2,000 jobs. Take a 40-hour week at probably $18 an hour. These guys are going to make. So you take a 40-hour week times $18. Let's say that puts
$36,000 a year, roughly.
All right, so take $36,000 by 2. That's $7 million in brand new income for the shop stores community of Mason City. Is that right? $36,000 a year. $36,000 a year times 2,000 people.
2,000 people?
Is that 72 million or is that 72 million?
Yes.
$72 million into that community.
And why don't they want it in Mason City?
Culture.
Okay. That is a politically correct term for this, though. So you're choosing. This is what we had a conversation about Friday, right? If the people of Mason City are concerned because they're going to have 2,000 Hispanic folks, Latin American folks, move to Mason City to work this job, and I agree with Frank. Why is that the assumption? And then they're assuming that, and then they're shutting that down. I mean, don't the people of Mason City, aren't there people that may want jobs there in Mason City or in the surrounding area? There's probably a lot of Iowans that might consider moving to Mason City to have the jobs. I don't know, but the fact that here we go, we're gonna bring all these people in, or that's the assumption, and they don't want that. They would rather not have money than have a group of people that bring a different culture, and that's fine if you want to call it that. But that is a I don't want to say. I mean that's short-sighted. Let's just put it that way.
Who officially shut it down? Put the kibosh on it.
City Council. City Council was not going to issue the proper permits. The money was there. The city came up with the money. The state came up with the money. There was $20-some million going to be spent. And that 2,000 jobs, it doesn't count the year that it would take to build this plant.
How many people were at the city council meeting protesting that?
I don't have any idea. So we'll come back. Is that racism or culture? That's the question I want to ask you. It's your voice I want to hear. 244-0077, live here on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:38 on the 9th day of May. Lord's Year 2016. J. Michael McCoy. Let me give you some breaking news. Urbandale police are investigating a reported drive-by shooting that happened in Urbandale this afternoon. Don't you say anything about Guido. You be quiet. Authorities received a report of a shooting around 12 noon today at 4520 60th Street. Urbandale Police Sergeant Gary Lang said a young male was found shot in the front yard. He was taken to a local hospital. His injuries are not life-threatening. So that's the story there. Don't you live close to 60th Street? No. You're far from 60th.
Not too far.
4520. Let me tell you where that would be. That is going to be...
Oh, but that's kind of south, isn't it?
That's going to be Merle Hay Road at about where the mall is, because the mall's 3850. This is 45, right?
So it'd just be just north of here.
It'd be just north and a little bit...
that's just right here, then.
Yeah, it is.
Because that would be between...
This is 56th.
Yeah, Merle Hay is about 58th, 59th.
Well, you turn on
that was incredibly close to here then.
Yeah, that was incredibly close to here.
Just a couple blocks away.
Yep. So anyway, they're investigating it, and we'll keep you known what's going on. I have no idea, racism or race, color, creed, anything like that. At this time. All right.
Were they from Mason City?
I don't know. They may have been. Lindsay writes, I find a little difference between discriminating race and discriminating culture. I agree with Frank
Say it.
on it being an assumption about who would take the jobs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an open border person. We do need a system of protecting our country that works. But as for race and culture, discrimination is discrimination. That's from Lindsay up in Boone. 515-809-0993 is the Service Legends Truth text line. Frank, Bob, you've got a couple texts.
Well, this is one about listen to your uncle. Is it your uncle?
Great uncle Guido.
Great uncle. It goes, ha! Seriously? Is this serious? It sounds like such a joke.
Yeah, right. Well, come to my house for a few days.
Well,
and then listen to this. So I took him over to my son's house yesterday. He had never met my son. My little grandson's name is Gibson, but what do we call him? G.
G. Oh.
So all the way home, he's thinking, you got big, and I can't do his accent at all, but we got big G and we got little G. Isn't that cool? Ha, 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 ha. No.
I loved his laugh, though.
Yeah.
That was good.
Anyway. All right. So you can always text in at the Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. It's also your voice we want to hear.
There's one that says Chris rocks, Chris rocks, Chris
Hey, let's
rocks.
read that one. Read that one again.
Why do they think Chris rocks?
I think it had to do with his statements about the racism and Donald Trump.
It's all Donald Trump's fault.
Oh, it's all Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah,
that must be Steve Dace calling in or texting in.
He's a big, Donald Trump's an easy target. I shouldn't say that.
So I'm just going to create a character here.
Okay.
His name is, I would use Bob, but I've got Bob over here. Let me use a name that nobody else has. Laverne. No, that's not a good one. Fred. Anybody a Fred here? Fred and Frank are close, but they're not close enough, so we'll just call him Fred. Fred lives in Mason City. Fred was born in Mason City. His parents and grandparents farmed the same land for many generations right outside. He still farms a little, but now he works in the city. He's got a shoe store. It's called Fred's Shoe Store. Fred has a brother-in-law that lives in Marshalltown. And he's got a Fred shoe store down there. They're not both named Fred, but they just use Fred's name. In the last 10 or 15 years, Marshalltown has become a city when opened up to a certain culture because of hog processing plants, things like that in Marshalltown. Marshalltown has drastically changed. It has become a small community, 24,000 people. That had a college, has a decent state fair, nice high school. The Bobcats are real good at what they do. Really prestigious downtown area. And even though they have Walmart, they've survived Walmart, and downtown has still done very well. Nice radio, nice television stations, good car dealerships, good school system. I already said that. But when the pork producers plant opened up in Marshalltown, or maybe it was cows. Anyway, opened up in Marshalltown. Because what is commonly assumed, Frank, is it an assumption that I say nobody else wants these jobs and that's why they're taken up by minorities?
I think,
or is that just a PC
assumption
cop-out? Okay. Marshalltown today is not the Marshalltown that it was 10 years ago. Fred's Shoe Store is gone. In fact, most of the multi-generational businesses on Main Street are gone. The culture that lives in that town now is that of a $18 an hour, $36,000 a year, multiple children. When you only make $36,000 a year as a family, you have to do things to make ends meet. And sometimes they're not things that I would do or you would do, but they're things they need to do. Sometimes that creates more crime. Whenever the level of poverty is raised in a community, especially a small Midwestern community, it can really deflate the positive growth of a small community. School systems are overburdened, and now they have students that want to go to school. There is a language barrier created automatically, because we've done that all wrong in this country in the last 30, 40 years. Any society that doesn't choose to assimilate the same language usually dies. Think of the Tower of Babel. Nobody understands each other anymore. Chaos breaks out. Whenever this culture of poverty moves in, your hospitals are overtaxed, or not overtaxed, they're overused. Overburdened. Schools are overburdened. Welfare, DHS, things like that are overwhelmed. And this is why I'm proposing that Mason City turn this down. They look to the south of their friends in Marshalltown, and I'm sure you could look north, east, and west also, and see how, even though this boom was coming in the name of this Prestige Pig Farms, even though this boom was coming, the price, what did my friend used to say? Bradshaw used to say, penny wise, dollar short. Is that right?
Pound foolish.
Pound foolish. You know, yeah, it looks good up front with all the shiny numbers, But in the long run, it's really bad for the community. I know a lot of people in Marshalltown. I lived in Marshalltown for a couple of years, way back in the late 70s. Helped put a radio station on the air down there. Had a business there. Loved that community. And I've maintained good relationships with some people up there. And I don't want to say names, but it isn't the place that we raised our kids in, 30, 35 years ago, 40 years ago. And that's a culture that moved in. Now, if we want to call it a race, you can if you want. If you decide that you want to use the race word in this, but just understand the consequences of that. It would be a lot easier for you just to admit that there's a poverty-laced culture that moves in with a low-paying business like this.
Well, in the 60s, there was three TV channels and Channel 11. Everybody saw the same programs. Everybody saw All in the Family. Everybody saw Bonanza. Everyone saw, whatever it was on the three main TV networks. Everybody kind of grew up seeing the same things, hearing the same things. Now we have a cable TV system that caters entire blocks of channels just to this, this culture, that culture. And we are forgetting all about assimilation in this country. And everywhere two languages or multiple languages has been tried as like the norm, Canada's a failure. Everywhere that it's tried, it fails. So basically I have no problem with immigration. I have no problem with immigrants. As long as we speak the same language and we're assimilated, I have no issue.
All right, 515-244-0077. That's the number you can ring and give us your opinion. Is it racism or is it a culture thing? Live here in Mac's World.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
You haven't been. 3:50, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. 9th day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and coming up next hour, many of you know the name Steve Lubke. Steve is the former Deary Brothers Chevrolet general manager. Had a fiery crash in the middle of the afternoon on 235 downtown, about 2nd Avenue, 4th OWI. The newspaper and the everybody made a big deal out of it, and I understand why. I get it. He's going to be my guest in the next hour. He's wants to talk about his story. And there's no better place than to share your story than in Mac's World. So that's coming up next hour.
I got a question for you.
You never ask questions.
This is a question.
A genuine
A
question.
genuine question,
All
and
right.
I want a genuine
It's not going to
answer.
be a statement, and then you say, so what do you think about that, Tom Coates?
No. This is a question.
All right.
You left here last Friday. Your rear was dragging all week. Now, you come in here today, and you got more energy than 6 people. What happened over the weekend that you all of a sudden got this new burst of energy because you have been a...
Pistol?
Pistol today, yeah. There's a good word.
Number one, I got a lot of sleep. Number two, I hardly did anything yesterday. I hung out with my son and my grandson. I had Guido with me over the weekend, which was a little tiring. I made 70 pizzas for a wedding reception on Saturday. A couple kids at church.
That should have tired you out.
What did?
Well, how did you get the energy over the weekend, though? I mean,
I rested. I rested. Here, let me use language that you would understand. I refused to eat pork and practiced my Sabbath.
Well, there you go. That might be the result of that.
Not to mention you had a great salad bar and a prime rib for lunch today.
That's right. We went to Chicago Speakeasy. I haven't been there in years, and I wanted to introduce Chris to it, and boy, that was just good, wasn't it?
That I was completely impressed. I'd seen that place before, but was totally impressed. I'm a salad bar guy, and wonderful salad bar.
You're a salad bar guy.
That would.
That's like Frank's into pork ribs.
There's not.
Well, there are a lot of things you can put on a salad.
This is very true. Just because it's a salad does not mean that it's healthy. I can attest to that. Every time I go to Palmer's, man, people always go, "Wow, you eat a salad here?" Yeah, but look what's on it. It's just a little bit of lettuce and lots of good stuff.
If you're a new listener, Chris and I share in one of the same characteristics, and that is we like food. And not so much the quality end of it, but the quantity end of it. Very rarely do Mr. Roloff and I walk away hungry. However, I will tell you, when we walk into the Chinese buffets, they go, no, you don't come here. You don't come here. You eat too much. You leave. You leave now.
And that's the reason why you guys always take the stairs 6 flights up and down every day.
So top officials in the family-owned Prestige Farm say racism played a pivotal role in undermining the plans to build a giant pork processing plant in Mason City, Iowa, that would have delivered up to 2,000 jobs. Being a Southerner, says Ron Prestige, the owner, I'm used to the fact that people think that racism resides in the South. However, it was very apparent among some that racism is alive and well in Mason City. Council member Janet Solberg, who voted in favor of the project, said, quote, racism was a huge factor. There is no doubt in my mind. Most of my phone calls and emails were, quote, we don't want those people in our community. Those people. Those people.
I would sure like to get a definition of those people. Clearly, no one is against legal immigrants, but I think those people is probably the illegal form.
Well,
regardless, though, that kind of language is synonymous with bigotry. I mean, it's you're saying here's a kind of people group. I'm going to label a kind of people group, and I don't want that people group here. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was white people. It doesn't matter. That is the definition of you're stereotyping a kind of people, and you're saying you don't want them. I don't want X stereotype.
Well,
yes, they're using.
Why is it people and not culture?
Well, and I think that you actually, believe it or not, Mac, made a fantastic point in the first segment, and that is that I think a more well-informed way of talking about this might be that the people of Mason City have seen that thousands of people making that, 2,000 people making that low of a wage is going to change the culture of Mason City. It doesn't matter their ethnicity. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter if they all live in Mason City already. But if everybody goes to that income level, that large of an amount of people in a city like Mason City would have an impact.
515-809-0993. That's the Service Legends Truth text line. Robert?
Yes, I have a text. It says, it's both racism and cultural. It's racist not liking someone's culture. We must be culturally sensitive and know that people like Hispanics have a different way of thinking and a different set of priorities and value system. We cannot expect immigrants to come to our country and just give up and forget about where they came from. We have to be sensitive to the differences in order to get through to other people.
Well, if I go to Russia and it's not in my interest to learn how to speak Russian, what good is it going to do me, and how well am I going to get along?
Not very well.
Okay, so everywhere you go, I'm not against being bilingual. It's wonderful to know more than one language, but I'm talking about a national language so that everyone understands everyone else. That is the way it ought to be in any country. Now, if you want to voluntarily know another language, more power to you. Go for it.
All right, let's go to the phones. 515-244-0077, Department of Defense, 7-star General Army Brad on the phone. What's your 2 cents worth? I've literally got a minute.
Well, every time I keep hearing this, the problem that I hear, especially when Chris is saying stuff, is that we're taking the illegal out of it. So let's say we stopped being racist and bigoted against child molesters and let them live right next to your child's school. You won't have a problem with that, will you, Chris? Because that's racist and bigoted.
Yeah, he just went there.
It's a false characterization of what I said. I never once said anything about immigrants. I never said anything about immigrants.
I'm not either. I'm talking about illegal.
I'm not. Who said they're illegal?
Who said that they're not? You're making.
I'm just saying. I was not saying anything about them being. I'm not saying anything about their status as immigrants, because it's all I'm saying is the statement made by the people in Mason City was one of bigotry. It was identifying a people group and saying this people group I don't want here.
A people group, or do they?
Yes, those people.
Hey, Brad, it was me that was trying to parse the hair on legal or illegal. I don't think Chris mentioned legal or illegal.
Well, because the whole part of this that was initially linked to Trump, so I'm taking it back to the illegal part of it, and we want to make assumptions against people that you don't know any more about it, so you're as much bigoted as anybody else by just saying that this is what the reason why they turned that or decided not to do this.
All right, Brad, I appreciate your phone call. It's your voice is always welcome. We'll take the top of the hour news from Salem Radio Network News. Don't go far. You come back. You're going to hear a great story. Next hour, here live in Mac's World. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do without it. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on Wow, the Truth, 99.3.